I think we made like a mistake here, and I think that the mistake was
What's that smell?
there, but it's what about is not there.
We're talking about the negative space now, the negative beer space.
On the taste itself,
I forgot. What are we talking about? It's about
that's the
raw
note that I
sewage?
get.
like how big it is. Welcome back to Beer Brackets, everybody. Today we're doing a versus battle that I know each and every one of you was asking for, was begging for us to do. We are going to find out from these two wonderful beers, Busch Light and Bud Light, which one is preferable, which one is better, which one do the beer gods smile upon with a much larger, I can't get over it. Like, that's a lot of Bud Light that you got there. Are you going to finish all this review?
As you can see, I clearly like it already.
Yeah, I can tell.
I wanted to get ahead here.
That's like a family-size Bud Light. That's amazing. Well, you know what? I don't think any introduction is needed here. Let's get right into this. We are going to go over all our review elements: aroma, taste, mouthfeel, finish, overall beer experience, and we're going to crown a winner in our first ever Battle of the Light Beers. Let's get this going, man. Let's pour these out.
I'll start with the Busch Light because it's a little bit less intimidating.
Oh, it smells really interesting. That I've actually never had Busch Light before. I've had regular Busch. I've never had Busch Light, so I'm excited. Okay. I'm excited to taste the mountains. Brewed in, and you know, we should mention actually, because I know yours is probably brewed in Milwaukee.
Let's see.
Sorry, St. Louis, Missouri, not Milwaukee.
Yes, that is correct.
So mine are actually brewed in Canada. So it's one of those situations where they have an affiliation with, I believe it's Labatt. So it's brewed here in Canada, but using the same recipe. So it's comparable. Ho, 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 ho. What's that smell? Let's go. We are very positive beer reviewers. And, you know, we review some of the best beers in the world on this channel. And we are not here to criticize in any way, shape, or form. We are here to be honest beer barometers. But there is a funky smell coming off that Busch Light that I can't put my finger on. I don't know if you're getting it too.
Yes, but it's not a funky smell. It's Busch Light.
Is that just the bush that I'm smelling there?
That's what it is. It's and now I'm almost afraid this is gonna. Ooh. Okay. Oh. Look at this.
The Bud Light is like really effervescent. The bubbles are just like, you can hear it. It's speaking. Oh, it's actually like really loud. Are you noticing that too?
It is. Yeah.
The bubbles in the head are just like, they're very vocal. All right, let's start with the aroma, buddy. Cheers. Aroma, cheers.
Cheers to you, my friend.
Which one of these two juggernauts of the beer world do you prefer?
Okay. They're both very distinct.
They are, right?
They are very distinct. They're different. The Busch Light is a little bit more pungent, at least in my iteration here. The US. I find the Bud Light to be a little bit more mellow and leaning a little bit more towards the malt. I'm saying leaning because. Definitely. Probably have to imagine it a little bit.
No, absolutely.
What do you think, my friend?
Well, who are you giving the point? Stop! You can't skip this. You can't get out of this.
You want the point already? Okay.
Of course, I want the point already. This is you're trying to get out of this responsibility of giving a point. You just want to brush it off to me. You have to score. Which one is better?
That's fair. I think on the
oh,
aroma.
Want the point already? Oh.
On the aroma, I'm gonna go with the Bud Light.
Okay.
I think I like that a little bit better. It's a little bit more mellow and round.
Yeah, I don't think Busch Light is meant to be smelled. To be honest with you, I think it's
very good point.
I think it's meant to be just drank out of a can or the bottle or whatever it is, but because it doesn't seem like there's a purposeful nice aroma on it. It doesn't seem like that's what was thought of. There's just a weird sort of like, maltiness, but there's like some kind of extra smell on there that I can't quite pinpoint. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's just different. It's different. It's like nothing I've kind of smelled before in a beer.
It's a little pungent.
The Bud Light's really kind of face. The Bud Light's kind of like straightforward and malty, but it's really nice. It's actually a really inviting aroma. Like I'm definitely going to give the point to Bud Light too. It's making me really want to go in and take a sip. Cheers, buddy. Let's get sips of these beers going on here, and let's see which one we prefer. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna go Busch Light first. I'm excited to try this one.
Okay. I really want to stay positive. Okay, so you start. Go for it. I like, but I think you read my mind in a sense that I think the key of this, of going through this experience, is try and stay positive and see what the experience brings us. So
exactly.
On that note, I would say that the Busch Light has a little bit more of a, let's call it like more rough edges on the palate, for me at least. And it shows a little bit more, let's call them a little bit more bitterness. While the Bud Light, staying consistent to what I smell, like has a little bit more of that malt presence, sweetness, kind of that runs through both the aroma and the palate.
For sure, yeah.
I do think that, if I'm trying not to think about the aroma, just judging strictly on the palate. So just like you said, if you were taking a sip out of the can directly, I think I'm going to prefer the Busch Light on the taste because of the fact that it has a little bit more, rough edges. Is not like as consistent. And
it's not just bland. There's something there.
Exactly. There's something there that brings it a little bit out of the picture of what I was expecting. So I think that's where the point goes. What do you think, my friend?
I'm really trying to just, and I'm trying, and look, we have nothing against any beer. It's not. I think, we talked about this before filming. There's a lot of gatekeepers out there in the beer world who are kind of sort of immediately against certain brands of beer, and we're not like that. And I think just something happens when you taste some of the best beers in the world, and you taste a wide variety of beers, that when you start to go back to things that are of a certain quality, you notice the flaws in them. And that's not to say that they're not enjoyable for some people, and that some people couldn't find something in them, and that they don't have a place in the beer world. But Matt, I'm not getting the Busch Light. I don't understand. Like, I like Coors. Give me a nice cold Coors. I'll drink it. Even we reviewed Budweiser. Give me a nice cold Budweiser. I'll drink it. It's great. I get it. This, I don't understand. It's not, there's nothing there. Like there's just like this maltiness, but it's not a good maltiness. Like I don't understand and there's this weird, again, on the aroma, there's this weird sort of side taste that I can't pinpoint. And like you said about the Bud Light, it's very, very mellow, but it's just a little bit of maltiness, a little bit of hops, but it's better than the Busch. So I got to give it to the Bud. So the Bud's up 3-1 at this point. Now we get to the mouthfeel. Let's do a little bit of a refresher here.
I'll defend the Busch, saying that sometimes it's not about what is there, but it's what about is not there.
We're talking about the negative space now, the negative beer space.
Exactly. It's the part of the beer void.
Oh, geez. All right. Which one do you prefer? It's actually, I thought the Bud Light had more carbonation when I first poured it out, but like you see the Busch here is nice on. Sorry, go ahead. I'm infringing on your territory here. What do you think?
No, you please, my friend. If you have comments, I'm still like taking a couple of readings here. Just
I have comments. The carbonation on the Bud Light, it seems to just dissipate really quickly. Like it fizzes up, whoosh, explodes right away. Kind of like one of those like science fair volcanoes, where you mix in like vinegar and baking soda, whatever it is, and then it just blows up, and then it just dies down to nothing. Look at this.
Like you mentioned, there's a slight difference in carbonation level, but I think again
I'm
trying
getting a
to
big kick out of watching you try to like.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like how to best represent and describe this to our viewers, and
yeah, fair enough.
I think the difference that I found most striking between the two, again, is how, and I can't find a better descriptor, but like how round and how smooth one experience is compared to the other. And I'm again talking about the smoothness, very, very soft of the Bud Light versus like a little bit more rough edges of the Busch Light. Well, on the taste itself, I
love how careful you are about your wording. A little bit of the rougher edges of the Busch Light. A little bit rough.
It's a rougher edges. It's just like the mountains. See, there's no mountains here. That's why, like all those, rocks and things.
But look how pointy those mountains are.
They are pointy, and that's
pointy tops.
The Busch Light has this little bit stronger presence again on the palate that it lingers a little bit longer to a point where I lean more towards the Bud Light experience. It has this more round, like soft, and so yes, I would go with Bud Light here between the two.
I forgot, what are we talking about? I got lost in your description there. 4-1. Okay. I got to give it to Bud. I think I'm still trying to figure it out. It's like, I'm fascinated. I want to figure out Busch. I understand that this is such a popular beer, and especially Busch Light. People love this beer. And I wonder, is it just the affordability factor of it? Is it kind of like the Pabst Blue Ribbon effect, where it's kind of like so bad that it becomes trendy because it's like, oh, we drink the shitty beer? Or is like, I'm trying to understand because there's so many good cheap beers that you can get, like accessible everywhere. Like, I don't know, get yourself a Heineken, get yourself a Stella, get yourself a Budweiser, anything. The Busch has, we talk about a lot on the channel, that cheap beer, oily mouthfeel. Busch is the epitome of that. You take a sip and it's just like this oily residue in your mouth that just kind of lingers there. Whereas the Bud's really clean and crisp. It's really, actually, it's nice. It's, there's no real strong character there, but there's nothing that sort of screams low quality to me either on it. So I'm going to give the point to Bud here. So Busch so far just has one lone point.
Busch. It's cold and it's smooth and it's waiting for you.
What is going on?
5-1 for Bud. I think it was a pity point if you ask me. I think you gave it to it just to try and give it a chance. But the finish, what do you think?
I think on the finish is where there's this one element that I think has been kind of like consistent throughout the review that like... Let's put it positively. It shines through the experience.
That's a good word. It's shining through.
And I think that part of this comes from the fact that we poured those beers, and I think that let's put it this way: I have usually enjoyed those beers, usually out of cans and bottles more than pouring them out. One of the elements that shines through for the Busch Light is this. I would call it a slightly burnt note, a little bit of sulfur, kind of like
sulfur.
Sulfur note. Yeah, that's the
like
note
sewage?
that I get.
That's what. I love how we use sulfur very lightly, kind of like to be polite, but sulfur is like
but here's the thing: it shines through the experience, like so. It's while on the
sulfur shines through.
On the palate, I glissed over for the other balance of the elements, but it gets all the way to the finish, and that's kind of like, to me, the only elements that really stays and lingers, and I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
So on the Bud Light, you have more of that like malt and slight hops presence in the very distance. Like if you had like a like if you were looking through a telescope, like you see them down there somewhere. So that's
a beer telescope.
A beer telescope, exactly.
Yeah.
A beer scope. Bud Light gets the finish point for me, my friend. What do you think?
Yeah, Bud Light. 1 point for Bud Light, I think.
Do you get the sulfur note?
I didn't want to say it. I've been getting sulfur since the beginning. I've been getting a lot of funky aromas since the beginning that I didn't want to say.
It shines through. It shines through.
I mean, it's got like, I'm completely lost for words. I think, the Busch has got like, I think, okay, sulfur, if you want to go that route. It's just like this very sort of, I've described this before as being a very processed maltiness that you get on some of these lower end beers, where it's not necessarily like, oh, this doesn't taste good, but it's just like, it's just not, I don't know why you would choose to drink it. And the bud, again, just, it's funny because the bud is just like flying under the radar with like very mild, like barely any kind of character whatsoever, but because it's just not offensive, it's just flying through this versus battle, just collecting all the points without doing too much. It's just like the equivalent of like somebody just like lying naked on a beach drinking beers and just like just money falling from the sky onto them, just collecting points just by not doing anything.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. I mean,
but you know what? The Bud, it's actually a very pleasant light beer. I'm enjoying the Bud Light. It's a little bit of maltiness, a little bit of hop, nothing special beyond that. Point goes to Bud. So we're looking at 7-1 right now. 2 points left to be given out. Obviously, Busch has no chance of coming back. But I think if Busch was able to steal a final point in the overall category here, it might be like sort of a moral victory, for Busch Light, some kind of victory you can call home about and be like, you know what, but I got that overall point. So what do you think, my friend? Which is the superior beer experience?
I think we made like a mistake here, and I think that the mistake was I have a feeling that the Busch is meant to be drank ice cold.
Yes.
Like strictly out from almost the freezer, if possible.
And drank out of the can. So you
drank out of the can. So to be fair, here it's like saying like, you're used to something and then you're taking a completely different situation and where you're not comfortable and you don't know, you're not showing the best of yourself. So you know what? I'm going to give the Busch Light the point because I have a feeling that straight out of the cooler, super cold, ice cold, it would be extremely refreshing. What do you think, my friend?
You know what? Going back to that analogy of the Busch Light lying naked on a beach, just drinking beers and with points just falling out of the sky onto its lap for doing nothing. I think the fact that the Busch Light has been a more impactful beer experience from beginning to end. I think I will agree. I will give the point to Busch Light as an overall beer experience. I think it's more memorable for whatever reasons you would say it's memorable. I think it's more memorable.
It shines through.
It shines. It definitely shines through. Yeah. I'll give the point to them. So a 7-3 victory for Bud Light in the battle of the light beers. This was a blast, my friend. This was fun. Everybody, let us know down below. Which of these two beers do you prefer? Are you a Busch Light fan? Are you a Bud Light fan? What do you think of the two? Would you choose one over the other? Are you a diehard fan of one of these two beers? Let us know down below. We would love to hear from you. Cheers, everybody. If there are any other versus battles, as always, that you'd like to see us do, please put it in the comments and we will get to them as soon as possible. And don't forget, ever, to close your light beer, sulfur beer brackets.
Never forget.
Oh, that tastes like ass.
It shines through, my friend.
That should be on a t-shirt.